Welcome to 1001 Bedtime Stories of World War II by Wayne Perkins. Thank you for joining me once again. And today we're going to start on Chapter 3. I'm going to read from Chapter 3 of my book, The Last Flight of the Daisy May, a story of heroism and hope at 17,000 feet. Chapter 3, The Farm Boy. At the end of rows and rows of one of the largest soybean fields ever seen in Illinois, Jacob Nelson sits cross-legged on the thick black soil with his face buried in his hands. Out near the little town of DeKalb, Illinois, farmers were just beginning to enjoy the benefits of the end of the Dust Bowl. Illinois corn grew as tall as the famous Iowa corn, and farmers reveled in its splendor. Jacob Nelson appreciated the abundance, but right now he had an overwhelming problem with current limited resources: how to harvest soybeans before they spoil. Jacob's job as a farmer is professional, but is also very personal. Sitting in the bean field in despair, he thinks about his older brother John, who lost his life in battle over in the trenches of France during World War I. World War I was the war to end all wars, but in the summer of 1942, an even larger war was consuming life in every corner of the planet. Jacob's only help, along with his 3 daughters, was his brother John's son, John Jr., also known as Deuce. Deuce dropped out of grade school to work the farm with his uncle Jacob. He was a good farmer, and his greatest value came from being able to keep the rickety old tractor working. Some area farmers were still plowing their field using horse-drawn plows, but Jacob's farm was mechanized, using a tractor for all of his acreage. Jacob grew soybeans this year because he had heard that they are not only used for making margarine and other food products, but supply more nitrogen in the soil, and when he plants corn in the field for the harvest next year, he should have a record crop. The blood, sweat, and tears expended by the Nelson family today to produce abundant crops will feed the American Armed Forces in their many battles around the world, as well as the refugees and even the prisoners from the battle-weary countries. Jacob's job is to feed the world. Over 10 years earlier, Japan invaded Manchuria and restricted export of all soybeans, and now it was up to Jacob to help fill the void thus created. The benefits of harvesting a new crop of soybeans far outweighed the benefits of his corn. Rotating corn in the fields that soybeans grew the previous season ensured a strong corn crop because of the nutrients left behind by the beans. Jacob's memory of the Dust Bowl just a few years earlier reminds him that soil is his most precious asset, and he is the caretaker of the soil. Well, thank you for listening to 1001 Bedtime Stories of World War II. This was Story 13, and in Story 14, the hero, one of the 11 heroes of our story, Fran Perkins, appears once again. Thank you, and keep listening. If you want to hear all the stories of The Last Flight of the Daisy May, order the audiobook by that title from Audible, Amazon.com, or iTunes. Thank you.